You know, many conservatives, when we are younger, we will inevitably experiment with libertarianism. We dabble in that particular political ideology, finding that it appeals to our young, underdeveloped brains. We start answering every difficult social question with the statement, hey man, just get the government out of it. We buy the book Atlas Shrugged and tell everyone that we read it, even though we never even glanced at the first page. These are the follies of youth. And most of us, as we get older, we grow out of that phase and we feel embarrassed by it the same way that people who grew up in the 70s feel embarrassed about having owned a pet rock, and the way people that grew up in the 80s should feel embarrassed about, well, everything that happened in that decade. But there are some grown adults who, sadly, never graduate. They never evolve. They never grow out of it. They end up looking as ridiculous and awkward as a 50-year-old man in a backwards hat. And that's what brings us to Kim Iversen, who's a pundit of some kind with a decent social media following, who seems to have attracted an audience of conservatives who believe that she's on their side largely because she doesn't like the vaccine and she says nice things about Donald Trump. Those are the two things I've noticed, apparently. Maybe there are other things as well, but those two things in particular have attracted conservatives to her, and that's why she has some kind of audience. I don't know how big it is. And that's all well and good, but it won't save her now that she has torched her credibility and revealed herself to be an amoral idiot and every other kind of idiot too. Kim responded to my tweet about Dr. Scott Mosser, the butcher who chops the breasts off of adolescent girls, with this rebuttal. This is what she said. It's their body, their choice. If their parents or anyone is pressuring them, let them live with that and take it up with them later. It's none of our business how others choose to live their lives. Yes, her response to doctors removing the body parts of physically healthy children is their body, their choice. From here, Kim launched into a series of tweets frantically searching for some way to defend cosmetic double mastectomies on teen girls. She had thrown down the gauntlet, put down her marker, climbed atop the girls should have their breast removed hill, and decided that she would die on it. That's what it took. Reading through the tweets that followed, she wrote, just going through a series of these, 16-year-old girls get nose jobs all the time. Where's your outrage? Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Again, personal choice. I'm all for personal freedom. Live and let live, even if it leads to regret. If it's what they want to do, it's what they want to do. I'm not for controlling others because I personally think it's morally wrong. You guys, we're talking about boob jobs. Let's keep things in perspective. It's literally none of your business if a woman chooses to enlarge them or shrink them. From there, she became even more incoherent and desperate, accusing me of being a triggered snowflake for opposing the mutilation of children, which, by the way, Kim, yes, I am triggered by child abuse. I admit. I'm triggered by it. I find it quite upsetting, even. I'm even offended by it. I am offended by the brutalization of children. I am. I admit it. And then she started crying that she was the victim of conservative cancel culture because people were criticizing her for her views. Finally, in one last blow to whatever credibility she may have still been clinging to, she asserted that not only can minors consent to having their breasts removed, but they can also consent to sex. She posted, quote, minors actually can consent to sex. Each state has its own laws on this. Later that night, she posted a lengthy Twitter thread trying to defend her depraved views in more detail, writing, quote, today proved it. Conservatives are no different than woke liberals. They just choose different topics to be outraged over. And in their minds, just like to woke liberals, this is different. This is immoral and must be stopped. My stance is clear. I don't think the government should interfere or be involved in the consensual medical decisions of others. I don't know what others are going through, and I don't believe that I nor the government should be telling others what's best for them. Yes, who's to say what's best for anyone? If a girl's having her breast chopped off, maybe that's best for her. If a kid is playing in the street about to get hit by a truck, don't interfere. After all, it's what he wants to do, and it may be best for him. Who are we to impose our anti-getting hit by truck views on that child? That would be rude. That would be oppressive. Indeed, if we were to prevent the child from being killed in traffic, we would be no better than woke leftists, constantly trying to impose our subjective views on others. What are you, some kind of snowflake, outraged about kids getting hit by cars? You snowflake? Cancel culture. You're trying to cancel people who hit children with their cars. Stop canceling them. Great points, Kim. You have the moral insight of a lizard, and you should be quite proud. Now, there's too much nonsense here to handle, but we'll do our best to pick through it. First of all, to clarify our terms here, top surgery, quote unquote, is a double mastectomy. A double mastectomy is not a boob job. The breasts are not being enlarged, nor are they being reduced. They're being removed. The breast tissue, the mammary glands, all of it is being cut off. The procedure, unlike breast implants, which I also would oppose for children because I'm not a disgusting creep, but unlike implants, a mastectomy is not reversible. A person who has this procedure and regrets it, as many do and many, many more will, as this current crop of children become adults, they can, for a large fee, try to reconstruct some approximation of something that looks like female breasts, but they will never have female breasts ever again. They'll never be able to nurse their children. All of that is gone forever, based on a choice they made when they were adolescents. But can they make a choice like that as a child? That's the question. Kim says they can. And she cites the fact that the age of consent in some states is 16. Now, the problem with this approach is that, first of all, children are being subjected to medical and surgical gender transitions much younger than 16. Dr. Scott Mosser is doing it at 14, at 13. He would do it at 12. He would do it at any age. Second, the age of consent in California is 18. Yet Dr. Scott Mosser is operating in California on girls who allegedly consent to having their breasts removed at 16 or younger. Third, even if the age of consent is 16 in some states, like in Vermont, I think it's 16, for example, does that mean that it's actually morally right automatically? I mean, is it the age of consent in Vermont is 16? So is it okay for a 50-year-old man to have sex with a 16-year-old in that state? Just because that's what it says on paper? What would you say about such a man, Kim? What if you had a 16-year-old daughter? You'd be okay with her dating a 50-year-old? Because she can do what she wants at the age of consent. Actually, don't answer that question. Don't tell me how you'd feel about it because I don't want to know. Now, this may come as a shock to you, Kim, but did you know this? And maybe make sure you're sitting down for this part. This is going to surprise you. Laws can be wrong. Did you know that? There are times when laws allow things that they shouldn't allow. The law allowed slavery at one time. The law has allowed many terrible things. Right now, the law in many states allows, yes, it does, doctors to castrate and butcher children. That's true. But the law is wrong. And we know that it's wrong because no matter what any politician wrote onto a piece of paper, certain scientific and moral truths remain. One of those truths is that a child does not have a fully developed brain. That's a fact. She's not capable of making fully informed decisions. She's not capable of thinking through the consequences of her actions. She's not capable of it. She does not have the maturity and competence or brain chemistry required to be entrusted with permanent life-altering decisions. This is a fact confirmed by neurology and also by the experience of every adult human who has ever lived on Earth, because we've all been 16 at one time, and so we know these things. What this means is that it's not possible for a child to make a consensual medical decision, as you say. The statement makes no sense. They cannot consent to what they do not understand. Now, there are moral truths too. One of those moral truths is that it is wrong to harm a child. That is wrong to do. Doesn't matter what the law says, doesn't matter what the law allows, doesn't even matter what the child says. It is wrong to harm a child. Causing permanent, severe physical damage is the worst kind of physical harm possible, short of outright murder. Now, if you don't think that we can make moral determinations like this, then, I mean, what do you support? Should we repeal all of the child abuse laws in the country? Maybe you would support that. The libertarian mind virus seems to be terminal in your case, so there's no telling how far you would go. Now, you say that conservatives are no different than woke liberals because we declare this is different, this is immoral and must be stopped. But what you fail to understand, Kim, is that some things are different from other things. Not all things are the same. Some things are there are things that are one thing, and then you have something else that's different from that thing. Some things actually are immoral and really must be stopped. Just because woke liberals make moral claims and demand that certain things be stopped, that doesn't mean that all moral claims are automatically wrong and that nothing at all should be stopped. The problem with the woke liberal is not that he condemns certain behavior, it's that he is wrong about what he condemns. He is morally confused. And so are you. And in that way, you are like the woke liberal, which is why both of you find yourselves defending the most grotesque form of child abuse the world has ever seen. You are right about one thing, though. I do practice my own form of cancel culture. That's what this segment is all about, and it's why you have found yourself in it. And it's also why you today are, unfortunately, canceled. Well, I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Matt Walsh Show. If you did, be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel and click the notification button to get more content like this. If you want to watch or listen to the full show, head to dailywire.com and subscribe today. You can also listen to my podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.